Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. Queer brain power and how LGBTQ plus elders are shaping the future of health advocacy. Tonight we're spotlighting the incredible contributions of LGBTQ plus elders who are not just aging gracefully, but are actively leading the charge in health advocacy. Brilliant, bold, and battle-tested elders are rewriting the narrative around aging, HIV, and community care by transforming healthcare from within. Our lived experiences are our superpowers. We recall the early days of the AIDS crisis and how that pain had been turned into purpose. Today, our queer elders are shaping policy, mentoring new generations, and demanding equity. In the June issue of the Holy Cross newsletter, Colors of Care, I highlight that a key theme of a successful advocacy is the power of intergenerational connection, the wisdom and the resilience of elders, combined with the fresh perspectives and digital skills of younger activists that are creating a shared fire for progress. This collaboration is especially vital in HIV advocacy, where long-term survivors offer invaluable insights and younger advocates are reshaping conversations around U equals U, PrEP, and aging with HIV. The article stresses that these connections also combat isolation of all age groups and to help build chosen families. We can and should celebrate that our elders are living longer, healthier, and more visible lives, redefining what it means to age with HIV with style, sass, and a fierce sense of purpose. By sharing their stories, meeting their needs, and honoring their contributions, our elders lay out a roadmap of how to survive or even thrive in difficult times. Read more in the Holy Cross Health newsletter, Colors of Care, June Pride Month issue for more information about the intergenerational, intersectional, and unstoppable LGBTQ plus elders that are still actively impacting our community. You can subscribe at www.holy-cross.com/colors-of-care. You know, I wrote this article that's in there because of my trip to NMAC's event recently, the Biomedical Summit for HIV. And also it spurred me. I went to New York recently just to go on a vacation. And for the first time, I went to see Stonewall Inn. So the idea of seeing the youth at the Biomedical Conference, which they had a huge turnout of, and how they could unapologetically get on stage and thank their elders for the work and the roadmaps that they've done, especially in HIV, and that they don't need our permission to help them move forward. But they appreciated what we do. They want us by their side. But it was an amazing thing to see that younger generation starting to step up. And then to go to New York and go somewhere so iconic as the Stonewall Inn and see so many youth people there and celebrating. And it was just a wonderful thing just to be able to see that it can happen, it is happening in our communities. And sometimes we need to celebrate that.
I mean, so I have a question for you, because I often have conversations with because I'm in that middle generation, and I often have conversations with some of the younger generation, especially the 20s and early 30s, and a lot of them, again, they don't see the value in what's happened in the past. They're like, it's happened in the past, it's done, we're in a different time, I don't need X, I don't need Y, I don't need, all those types of things. And I always find it odd, right? Because I'm like, if you don't learn your history, you're deemed to repeat it,
right?
Or let it repeat again,
right?
And you have, being them, have a lot of these social acceptances because of the people that happen. But if you don't keep the fight up,
right,
or the progress up, we're doomed to have those, erased, which we're seeing, right, systematically. So, and then on the flip side, I've had a lot of conversations with my elders, and they seem very kind of disillusioned. Like, I don't want to talk to the young people because they're not going to listen.
Right.
So what would you say in the broader sense of how to kind of bridge that gap, to really kind of say, hey, elders, you really should keep stepping up and talking to them, and hey, kids, you really do need to listen type of a situation?
You know, a lot of us on Queer News Tonight have sat around this table and talked about, you know, the connection with a younger generation and how so many people, when they came out of the closet and was growing up gay, they had a mentor in their life. They had somebody that they could lean on and learn from. And we've kind of lost that over the last few generations. But seeing organizations and stuff that are now focusing more on seniors and elders, I mean, we've had pride events that have an elder tent to where, you know, you can meet those people who have been through some of these things. And I think what we're seeing in our youth is, you know what, this is going to happen again. And we did hear about it, but we didn't think it was going to happen. And I think they're starting to see that that holds true. You erase history, it's going to repeat itself. And so I do see it starting to come together. It's taking longer than it should, but it's going to be a connection from everybody. We've got to tear down the walls between the LGBTQ, we've got to tear them all down and build a join together. And ageism needs to go away. And we need to focus on, you know, I'm one of these that I grew up loving being around my grandparents and my great-grandparents because those are stories that are not written anywhere. And I still have memories of those. And the younger generations today didn't have that. A lot of them are from broken homes. A lot of our LGBT don't have family members per se. You know, they have their chosen family, which is an awesome thing as well. But that learned knowledge of history from a family perspective isn't there. So I think we've got to find a better way of bridging those gaps ourselves, and it's going to take us and it's going to take them to do it.
I agree, and I still definitely encourage, because I have a very broad spectrum of friends, again, from the 20s and teens even through, my elders. Mm-hmm. And I do encourage them always to hang out together and mm-hmm. we start having a great time and people really go, oh, you're not so different.
Right.
Or, you know what? I joke with my friends and go, my younger friends, you're doing the same thing I did because I wrote that book. You read my book. I've already been around that block. This is how I handled it back then, before we had Grindr and those types of things. Right. So I think there is a lot of truth to that, and I'm glad to see that people are starting to, commingle mm-hmm. in age and start to open up and really talk to each other. Yep. So that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Back to entertainment.